Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. One of the things that Rabbeinu Yonah said in Sha'arei Teshuva last time was that when you delay Teshuva, the person basically shows, okay, I don't care that I sinned, because you're not rushing to do Teshuva. So clearly the guy doesn't care that he sinned. And that's very bad. So not only that, but it's damaging to the person as well. So he continues. You should also know, you should consider the damage that is involved when a person postpones Teshuva. Very big damage. If he had not delayed, but quickly repented, to the point where now he is merirut lev, he is bitter in the heart and he's trembling with worry, and now he shed tears in his eyes. When the Yetzer Hara comes a second time to try and entice him to do that same sin, he's going to subdue the Yetzer Hara because he did Teshuva the first time. He knows what's involved. He felt bad. He's going to remember that cup of bitterness. So slang. That cup of bitterness is that he experienced. Yeah, I went through this once. I know this Avera. I did it. I did it, and I'm sorry I did this, and I did Teshuva. And it's not going to happen. He's going to make sure not to drink from this cup of bitterness again. David HaMelech says in Tehillim, tremble and do not sin. What does it mean? Rigzu, tremble, agonize in Teshuvah of the sin that you committed, and you're not going to sin again. Now, it's logical that the David HaMelech here is referring to trembling over a sin, because it mentioned earlier, Tevakshu kazav sela. The pasuk said that you seek deception. The proof of the interpretation is that the expression of rigzu, which is trembling, milashon arti gezu baderech. Don't tremble, don't become agitated on the way. V'tachtai erga is also another pasuk that says, I shuddered in my place. Inyanam atzara davar shavar ve'aloveh ve'lo amar yiru or goru. She's basically proving that when David HaMelech said these words, rigzu ve'al techetau, it's trembling on something of the past. You trembled on something that you did, and not something that you're worried about in the future. Because if it was something that you're worried about in the future, David HaMelech would have used the lashon of yiru or guru, something that of fear for what's to come. That's usually the term that he uses. But rigzu is trembling what you did. Rigzu, if you tremble for what your past mistakes are, al techetau, you're not going to make the sin anymore. You're not going to fall into that trap. But if, God forbid, a person delays in doing Teshuvah, then when he has another opportunity to sin, he's going to fall in the same trap like he did in the beginning, because you never did proper Teshuvah. Not only that, the second sin is going to be much greater than the first time you did it. And the wickedness will go up to Hashem. Why? Originally, before he committed sin number one, the first time he stole money, he didn't think that the Yetzer Hara was going to attack him. The Yetzer Hara came, go steal the money. And he went and he stole it. And since he was not prepared for that encounter with the Yetzer Hara, we can say, okay, we're going to excuse him this time, because he wasn't expecting that he had this urge to sin. But now that he saw, now that his own eyes saw that his limited strength, and they observed that the power of the Yetzer Hara overcame him and is stronger than him, he should have known that he is exposed to danger. He should have tried to increase his fear of God and conquer it. To save it from the ambush of the Yetzer Hara, be protected from the attack of the Yetzer Hara. But he didn't do so. He failed to do so. He didn't perform the Teshuvah. He's now vulnerable to the second offense. And as a result, it's worse than his first one. Ve'amar Shlomo alav shalom. Look at the mashal he brings. Shlomo Melech says in Mishlei, Kekelev shav al keo, kesil shoneh be'ivalto. Like a dog who returns to what it vomited, a fool repeats its foolishness. That's Shlomo Melech said. When a dog eats something and he throws it up, the dog is so filthy, he goes back to what it threw up and go eats it again. Same thing, the fool goes back to this original sin. The foolishness that he once did. Be'uro, meaning, a dog eats repulsive things. When it vomits it, it's even more repulsive than the first time that it ate. And he goes back to eat them again. This is the practice of the fool. He does something disgusting. He does a disgraceful act. And when he repeats it, it's even more disgraceful than the first time. Like we explained. So there's an interesting note brought here in this sefer. He says, granted, the second offense is worse than the first one. But why is it compared to eating what was vomited? Why are you comparing it to that? So he quotes the Gra, who explains that the fool commits a sin by bringing foul behavior into his system, and then when admonished for it, he concedes that it was wrong and resolves not to repeat it. With this resolution, by saying this, by conceding that he was wrong, he vomits it out of his system, but his Teshuva is insincere. And therefore, he's faced with the same challenge. He goes and eats back what he vomited out. And that's an imshal over here from the pasuk. Okay? Let's do one more piece. Ve'ashenit, another form of damage that is suffered by a guy who repeats his transgression. Ki hashoneh b'chetot teshuvato kasha. When one repeats sin, teshuvah becomes more difficult. Ki na'asa lo achet ke'eter. The sin becomes like permissible behavior. You're stealing so much in your life that you don't think there's anything wrong anymore to steal. It becomes something that's a part of you. Okay? The Gemara talks about it. It's like a habit. Ubazeh kavda me'od chatato. And now the second sin is much heavier on his soul than the first one. Kemos ne'emar, like the pasuk says in Yirmiyahu, Hine dibart v'tasi haraot v'tuchal. Behold, you spoke, you carried out evil deeds, and you were able. What does it mean v'tuchal and you were able? Ki haraot na'asot lach keheter. The evil deeds that you committed were like permissible to you. Ukdavar shehu becholtech u'birshutech. You began to look at these deeds as it within your ability, within your authority to do so. Minashon lo tuchal lechol bisharecha. Like the expression of you are not able to eat in your cities the maaser. The maaser shani needs to be eaten in Yerushalayim. That's where the pasuk comes from. Shetargumo let lachreshu. Right? The uncle who says you are not permitted to eat in your cities. Okay, that's where lashon from. Ve'amru rabotenu zocham v'racha kevan she'avar adam avera v'shana ba na'aseh lo ke'eter. The Gemara Masechet Yonah says once a person commits a sin and repeats it, it's like permissible to him. This has serious repercussions. Ve'amru rabotenu zocham v'racha ala ish she'avar avera v'shana ba. Our Chachamim, a blessed memory, talks about a person who committed a sin and repeated it. Ki mikan ve'elach. Since he views it as permissible at this point, if he ever intends to do the sin, but then is prevented from doing it, his evil intention will count as a deed. So look at that. If I steal constantly, okay, and it's so ingrained in me that it's a part of me. Stealing is fine. It's a habit. And therefore, on January 22nd, I go out to steal something, but for whatever reason, I get stuck in traffic and I can't steal. I can't steal on January 22nd. Chachamim say, you stole on January 22nd. It's like, you stole. Right? Ve'alav ne'emar, hine anochi mevi ra'ai la'am hazeh pirim ashevotam. Behold, I bring upon this nation the fruit of their intentions. Right? Alachad kama v'kama, by the way, the same thing the other way around. If a person always does a mitzvah, okay, and for whatever reason on January 22nd he went to do the same mitzvah, and he got stuck in traffic, machshava mitzarefet lemaaseh, that the machshava tova, the good intent, combines with the maaseh, and we make it seem as if this person fulfilled that action. Okay, guys, we're going to stop here, and we'll continue B'ezrat Hashem next week.